Traditional hypnotic fractionation becomes unreliable when the client doesn't enter trance easily, does not deepen after repeated attempts, and sometimes even when they become too relaxed and they might fall asleep. And so, what are some other ways that we can approach fractionation and use this useful tool without falling into these common shortcomings? Just recognize that repeating trance induction is not always the best path to genuine insight into the problem. If the goal is depth, then it works great. If you want to get into as deep a trance as possible, traditional fractionation is one of the best ways to get there. But if you have a more coaching or hypnotherapeutic aim to actually resolve a problem or to reach a specific goal, then the goal is not actually depth for its own sake. The real goal is helping the client access meaningful unconscious information that creates real change. You could call it therapeutic fractionation as opposed to depth-focused fractionation. You want to have a type of getting the client in and out of trance that helps them stay engaged, stay searching for information, and discovering instead of simply relaxing. So to make sure we're all understanding the same thing here, fractionation is typically the process of getting someone into trance and then bringing them out, either all the way or partially out, putting them back into the trance, bringing them back out, putting them back in, putting them back out. And the reason for it is that it does tend to have this effect of making it feel like you're going deeper each time. But goal-oriented fractionation focuses on guiding the client in and out of deeper internal searches through question cycles. So instead of putting the client formally into trance, the process uses the hypnotic interview. And so what happens when you ask someone a good question, one that they haven't already considered and have an answer already within their conscious awareness for? Well, it sends them internally. And so if you ask the right question at the right time, you might see a pause, you might see the gears turning, you might see genuine thinking, looking around, this sense of like, I don't know, like I need to really think about that. That moment is the unconscious search. That is them going, even if just briefly, into trance. And so then what you want to do is keep building upon that. They're going to go into that mini trance, find some information, bring it back out to tell you. But then what happens if you ask another question? Well, two things could happen. You could ask a question and just get conscious fluff answer, or you could ask a question and have them go back into that room. And the way that you want to do that is by intentionally asking follow-up questions about the specific element that caused them to go into that room in the first place. That's spotting unconscious moments. That's identifying the part of their response that was dripped in unconsciousness and intentionally asking follow-up questions about that, because that will send them back to the same or a similar spot in the question back and forth cycle. And so the purpose of this process, though, again, is not just to create depth. It's not just to have trance for trance's sake. The problem is to uncover what is really going on. What is the unconscious payoff here? What are some of the hidden emotional patterns? What are some aha moments and insight and clarity? So you can see why depth is not nearly as important as relevance. If they have a specific goal, you want them to go into the portion of their trance experience that is relevant for what they're trying to achieve. Just being relaxed won't create any breakthrough. They'll feel good, then they'll come out, and then they'll still have the same problem. Breakthrough can happen when the questions lead them through their own version of trance for that specific goal that they have that leads to some type of meaningful discovery. So for example, if someone comes in and the problem that they want help with is that they have a trauma bond to someone, they feel like they can't leave them, even though they know that that's what would be best for them. You could just simply ask a question that would likely lead them to do an internal search. A simple question like, well, what is stopping you from leaving them? They might want to quickly say, oh, it's the trauma bond. It's like, okay, well, what is keeping you bonded through this trauma to them specifically? They might have had a quick answer for the first, then you ask it again just with different wording to get them to really understand, like, I'm wanting you to search for an answer here. And as they're searching, pause. Don't interrupt. Let their mind keep spinning and searching as long as it takes. It might just be a quick process, it might be longer. And then listen for the unconscious material inside whatever answer they give. It could be emotion, it could be a contradiction, it could be confusion, identity statements, old memories, repeated patterns. You're looking for something that seems to be more unconscious. And then the process is very simple. Ask the next question based on the unconscious part of the answer. You're going to keep layering questions so that the client repeatedly searches internally, finds information, comes back with an answer, and then goes internal again. So what's really neat about this is that they will go not into the trance that you want them to have, but into the trance that they need. The trance that has the information relevant to their problem. And they can do this without a formal trance induction. The formal trance induction will just get in the way because they'll be so relaxed in the very comfortable part of their unconscious mind that they won't even want to deal with this problem. So you can see what is happening here. If you develop the skill for identifying unconscious moments, then this question asking cycle that we call the hypnotic interview becomes the entire thing. There is no separation between the hypnosis, the suggestions, and the change work. They're all one blended process at the end of the day.